Hello, listeners. Welcome back to Housewives Book Club. I am Jen Keefe with my pal Molly Mulshine, and we're here to talk about part 4 of our Teresa prison memoir investigation, Turning the Tables.
Yes, part 4. This has been a 4-part saga, and I have to say, Jen, views are down.
They sure are.
People are losing interest
Ooh.
in Teresa Giudice. Nobody cares. I guess it's old news. Why do you think this isn't setting the world on fire, this multi-pronged discussion of Teresa?
We said views are down. Everyone's tuning out. Let's make this 4 parts.
We had to, because we had too much to say. Because listen, at the end of the day, this podcast is evergreen.
Exactly.
And we are completists.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think numbers are down because we struck while the iron was hot with the week. I mean, we released Dorit's episode a day after the book was released.
Yeah, that's the kind of marketing acumen they can't teach in schools, folks. So we did it one time, and then we said, we're just going to let Jesus take the wheel for the rest of we're going to have no news pegs. We're just going to randomly do Teresa because I was in New Jersey for a week.
Yes, and I saw you, and me and Melissa were just talking about what an amazing time we had down there with you guys. And our little adventure in the city, which is a callback to chapter 9 of Turning the Tables, when Molly was visiting with her darling family, me and my loving partner, Melissa, went to the American Girl Dolls cafe with Malls and her 2 children, if I may say that. Don't know if we need to bleep that out.
No, we can put an emoji over its face. That's what we'll do.
Okay. And Teresa mentions her appreciation for, who was it?
What, Felicity? I don't know.
Someone took her.
Dina.
Who was it?
I said Felicity like the American Girl doll. It was Dina Manzo. Dina took one of the daughters to the American Girl store for her 6th birthday while Teresa was in the clink. So that was really heartwarming and nice. You know, she mentioned a lot of the people in this quadrant of the book. She mentioned a lot of the people who she was in touch with and not in touch with, which was very fraught information. And one thing it made me think about was, if someone in my life went to prison for blatant fraud, premeditated, aggressive fraud to steal millions of dollars from the bank, would I still hang out with them? And would I let my kids hang out with the kids of someone who did that? Because so also she mentions in this quadrant of the book, her Bravo special, Teresa Checks In, which is a 3-parter. It's almost as long as this podcast about Teresa's book. And I decided to revisit that as well over the last 24 hours. It is so good. It's a time capsule to 2015. And it's just the Giudice family. You just have to give it to them. They are so entertaining, especially Joe and the daughters. But so in the first episode of Teresa Checks In, Gia is having her 8th grade dance, and they're all getting ready together, her and all the other little kids at the house. And I'm like, what if my daughter was like, my friend's parents are both going to jail for mortgage fraud. They almost got off on probation, but they decided to lie at the last minute to the judge, ensuring that they would go to prison. Can I go get ready for the prom at her house? What would you say?
If they are friends with the girls, I would want to maintain that friendship.
Yeah, but I also am of the belief that a lot of criminal activity exists on a continuum, and especially with Joe Giudice, who is a repeat offender of a lot of different crimes, that makes he's a habitual line stepper. So I think I would just need to be there maybe. Maybe I would just need to be there anytime they hung out, because I wouldn't want my kids to shame their kids, or I wouldn't want their kids to be like, such and such person won't talk to us anymore because our parents are in prison. But I don't know. I feel like it would really test your Catholicism, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm not shook by it. If the crime was mortgage fraud, I mean, this opinion got me in trouble, but
Yes, our Apple Podcast rating dropped by a full degree because of this opinion. We got a really mean comment from someone who was like really offended that Jen said mortgage fraud is a victimless crime. But the person also listened to the entire episode and was like, at least I don't have to buy the book now. So it's like, well, then we did our job. Give us a 5-star anyway. So if you guys could all go and give us 5-star ratings, by the way, on Apple Podcasts, please do that and cancel out. We need to get the stink off us.
My fault. My fault. Okay, so but yeah, I understand before junior prom, you might wanna be there, in the heat of, the hosts of the junior prom pre-function having just, been convicted of a crime.
Here's the other bombshell in the Teresa Checks In special. They don't reveal this until the second episode. Not only was Joe solo parenting for this entire year, he also had lost his driver's license right before this for a unrelated different crime. He had already had a DUI and he was supposed to have his license suspended. So he took all of his brother's paperwork, his brother who famously got a DUI in my hometown of Bayhead, New Jersey, just last month. Yes, famous. So Joe took Pete's papers into the DMV to get a fraudulent license, to get his license back after having his own suspended. And this is while he's awaiting his prison sentence for mortgage fraud, bank fraud, wire fraud, and mail fraud. I mean, the guy, he's so funny and he's so fun to watch, but like, what a dirtbag. Can you imagine? So they reveal in the second episode of Teresa Checks In that Juicy is riding a bike everywhere. They show him roll up on a bike to meet his lawyer, who, by the way, is an extra from Guys and Dolls Community Theater Edition. He's wearing pinstripes 24/7 with his hair slicked all the way back. The lawyer, his name's James Leonard. He is lawyer to the stars. He's also Angelina and JWoww's lawyer from Jersey Shore. Anyway, they show Juicy rolling up to this restaurant to meet up with the lawyer, and he's got a helmet on and he's riding a bike. So can you imagine being Teresa's parents and being like, not only is our daughter a young mother of 4 in prison, but we now have to drive her kids around for a year because her husband got a completely preventable DUI and then further lost his license beyond that. How would you not kill the guy?
Yes, if I were Teresa's parents, I would be really upset at Joe and embarrassed. But I wonder if they hold the same opinion that they hold regarding Teresa's sentencing, that they have no idea what crime Joe committed.
Right. They are definitely putting their heads in the sand and not looking into it. The level of repression in this family, and this is where I'm once again going to resort to ethnic stereotyping. They could teach the Irish a thing or two about emotional repression, or at least trying to repress, because they're not successful at it. Whereas the Irish are, I mean, truly don't cry. The Giudices are constantly, and the Gorgas, on high alert. Who's going to cry? Who's going to cry? Don't do that because this person might cry. The amount that Gia in this special has to hold in her emotions so as not to upset Nono is so disturbing. It's like she's 14. She's being a mother to her sisters, and she's not allowed to cry when she talks to her mom on the phone before her 8th grade dance because her mom's missing the dance because they don't want her to upset. No, it was a good watch. Can I talk about one other thing I watched before we get back into the book? I'm so sorry. And I'm going to
Yeah.
keep bringing stuff up that I watched because I guess I was procrastinating something because I watched like 4 hours of Teresa material in the last 2 days. So I watched the season 6 reunion, which is right before she goes to prison. And if you remember, we discussed in previous episodes how she cut off anyone who brought up the prison, the idea of prison, the concept of a building with locks on it, the concept of the judicial system. Anyone who brought up anything, even breathed a whiff of it, she cut off. One of those people was her aunt, her dad's sister, Kathy and Rosie's mother. She said on camera something like they did their crime and now they're going to have to pay for it, in a very sweet Italian grandma kind of way, like in a very gentle way that you would expect an elderly female in your family to say when you've committed a crime. So after that, Teresa cut off that entire branch of the family once again. So Kathy comes out at the reunion to talk about that scene and to talk about how her family is reacting to Teresa going to prison. And Teresa gets up off the couch and says, I'm going to the bathroom. Keep talking. I'm not going to be part of this conversation. It's like I'm saying, the repression, the blinders, the refusal to take accountability, the refusal to even consider accountability. But the funniest part was that while she's in the bathroom, they still have her mic on her. And I guess because she was clearly not using the bathroom, they figured it was fair game to still use her voice. And she finds a penny while she's in the bathroom, and you just hear her going, "See a penny, pick it up."
My God, that's so good.
While her family is on stage talking about whether she's gonna go to prison, she's like, "See a penny, pick it up."
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, I can only aspire to that level of detachment. Like, I don't know, do I need more cognitive behavioral therapy? How do you get to that point of just being like, "It's not happening. Oh my god, I found a penny," you know? "I'm going to
Mhm.
the bathroom because I don't wanna admit I might go to prison. I found a penny." How do you get to that mental space? It's so foreign to me.
Well, that's why you'll never be a housewife, Malls.
Don't say that.
Didn't you say you would not do the show?
No, Jen. I said it's my most cherished dream in life.
Shed Media, I stand corrected. Molly Mulshine would love to be on one of your franchises.
I will commit the mortgage fraud.
Real Housewives of Dublin would be excellent.
Yes, and I can be the annoying American who pisses everybody off. Like, I will be the bull in the china shop.
You were born to play that role.
Yeah. She also says in this season 6 reunion, by the way, that Fabellini and her dessert line are not profitable, which I found really interesting. But then I realized she was lying about her finances at that time because she had filed for bankruptcy. So who knows? Maybe they were.
Who knows?
Who
All right,
knows?
speaking of financial crimes, I think let's get back to the book.
Yeah, let's get back to the book. If anyone needs something entertaining, though, that prison special, I'm probably going to bring it up more times because there were just so many just pieces of gold, satchels of gold, in the words of Kelly Ben Simone
Beautiful. When does Kelly say that?
when she's having her mental breakdown on Scary Island.
She says satchels of.
Yeah, she just goes, satchels of gold. Like, she's like throwing her hands up in the air and she's just like, satchels of gold.
That is so crazy. Okay. All
Okay,
right.
chapter
Well,
9, snitches and snakes. Where do you want to go from here, Jen? Take the wheel?
sure. Sure. I'm going to start off with a small detail that won't take much time, but we are introduced briefly to a group of Russian gals.
Why are there so many Russians?
Well, I think if you're in South Brooklyn, there's historically a sizable Russian population. What?
They're in Connecticut.
Yeah, but the closest prison for that type of crime might be Danbury if you're deemed nonviolent. Dang. Okay, so we're introduced to this group of Russian gals, and they are in there for defrauding Holocaust survivors.
What?
Do you remember that? Yeah, do you remember that?
Somehow I missed that.
Yeah.
What? My God, of all the low down, dirty crimes you can commit, that's gotta be the worst one.
It wasn't necessarily all of them, but certainly one or two of them. That's why they were in there allegedly, according to Tree. So there's the Russian girls. They aren't major players. I just thought that was obviously interesting, their crime.
Yeah. Can I tell you a really quick fact? And I'm so sorry it's coming from AI, but it seems legit. There is actually no high concentration or unusually large number of Russian citizens imprisoned in Connecticut.
Wait, repeat that?
There is actually no high concentration or unusually large number of Russian citizens imprisoned in Connecticut in Danbury. So there is the amount of Russian inmates mirrors the amount of Russian people in the population in that region, I guess. But it's funny because there are high profile Russians in Teresa's tale and in Orange is the New Black, both of which take place at Danbury. So are we just fascinated with Russians and we tend to give them more attention because they have funny accents? I wonder.
Well, that AI fact is irrelevant because it's about residents in Connecticut. These residents were from Brooklyn.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. They specifically came from Brooklyn. They were known as like the Brooklyn crew.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I would not say there's a high concentration of Russians in Connecticut.
Neither would AI. So watch your job.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you to resident journalist Molly Mulshine for that enriching update. Okay. The Russians aren't major players. Who is a major player is a lesbian love triangle involving Rini, Delilah, and Stud.
Yes, this was all I should have taken more Vyvanse for this part. My eyes kept glazing over about the triangle.
Oh, I
Can
got
you
you. I got
Yeah,
you.
enlighten us.
Okay, so, Tree here, I'm going to read a passage, is describing two of the gals. Delilah didn't have the whitest teeth, but she had good hair. She was dating a sweet woman named Renee, who had a crew cut and was very butchy. So, Delilah, who didn't have the whitest teeth but had great hair, is dating a butch named Renee. Now, Tree accidentally steps in it because she unknowingly repeats that she saw Delilah with the bad teeth but good hair hooking up in the bathroom one night with not Renee, her girlfriend, but Stud, a other lesbian at the prison.
So she's starting to get sick of coming up with nicknames, and she just went with Stud.
She was referred to as the Stud. I think that was like her nickname, like Magic and
Right, and like Trees was Hollywood, which I loved.
yes, and Cinnamon.
Yeah.
Okay, so Delilah and Renee break up, and a big reason is because Tree passed this along, that she saw Delilah being unfaithful, hooking up with the Stud.
So she ratted.
But I forget the exact, it wasn't a ratting, it was
Jen,
like,
the rules.
it was an innocent moment of true confusion, I felt, the way that she...
Oh, yeah, just like all those times she went into the banks with fake jobs and fake pay stubs and innocently, confusedly applied for fake mortgages.
Exactly. All right, so Delilah and the Stud then quickly start dating, and Delilah threw a birthday party for the Stud, and it was a luau. Now, this detail really, really broke me. Let me read it.
Yeah.
This first sentence is not what broke me. Delilah could be a bitch, so she totally froze me out of everything, including a big luau she threw for the Stud's birthday on the grounds near the volleyball court. There was sand on the ground, so we could feel like we were at a beach or on an island when we were playing volleyball.
I thought
So
that was cute and fun.
I know, but that's heartbreaking, the idea of these incarcerated women throwing a luau at the, municipal prison volleyball court. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. But it's also resourceful, and I think it would have been more fun than like the last 3 parties I've been to.
Totally. Everyone was greeted with it's time to get laid, and then they got like a lay.
And that was definitely Teresa's first time ever hearing that joke.
Yes.
Definitely was like, wow. Oh my God, another, like, soon after this one, she had this quote. My family came to Danbury that day for an event they throw in the fall called Oktoberfest. She definitely thinks that's like a Danbury specific event.
You think?
Yes. The way she says it in the audiobook, she's like, an event in the fall called Oktoberfest. It's not like they had an Oktoberfest party. It's like, oh yes, it's like specifically a Danbury party, Oktoberfest, and she's
Yeah.
never heard of it before or since.
Yeah. That's true. That description of Oktoberfest sounded really heartwarming, bringing in all the families of the inmates could come, not just in the visitation room, but sort of on the grounds, like in grass, and they got to have true, family time at Danbury.
They showed a photo of Tree with the daughters on the special, and it must have been the Oktoberfest event, and she looked fabulous. She really did. I loved the detail that she paid someone $12 in commissary items to tailor her jumpsuit. That was a bit of me. I would do the same thing. That was so smart, and it just would make you feel so much better to just have it fit you properly. And
Wait.
also, I was thinking it's so great that she didn't have to wear an orange suit, that it was green.
Yes, expert tailoring is a really important value and theme of this podcast.
Listen, it will make you feel, get the cheapest thing and get it tailored.
Please, this is a sidebar. I feel like I've mentioned this on previous episodes. Maybe I apologize, but I'm really into not buying any new clothes. And so, like a month ago, I did a closet clean out, donated a ton of stuff, and then took about 4 pieces of clothes that I had bought at some point in the past couple of years, but didn't wear because they didn't fit quite right, brought them to the tailor, and now I wear them all the time.
I love that. That's so important and commendable, because fast fashion is truly disgusting and horrible. and everyone is just constantly throwing away things that are fine.
Totally, totally. Okay, that's our moment for, denouncing fast fashion. I wanna go back, I'm sorry, to the lesbian love triangle
Yes,
with
yes, yes. Sorry, I hope
Deli
I didn't, push past that too much.
No, not at all, not at all. Okay, so at the luau, Delilah is the woman with the good hair
Yeah,
hosting the
yeah.
birthday party for the stud.
Because Samson and Delilah cut Samson's hair off or something, so that's a good mnemonic device.
Okay, thank you. So Delilah's ex, Renee, I'm going to read this passage. Renee is the butch. Renee was obviously not invited to the luau. She sat on one of the picnic tables on top of the hill with her posse, watching her ex-girlfriend throw this lavish blowout for the stud. I felt really bad for her. Renee watched the party for more than 3 hours. After it ended, she went up to the stud and said, "We had sex today before your party." The stud started screaming at her, threatening to beat her ass, which got Renee all riled up. Someone ran over and told them to stop fighting before the guards saw. The stud made a beeline to Delilah and broke up with her right on the spot. What a great way to end your birthday party, with a real bang.
It's crazy. All I can think of right now is the hypocrisy of giving a complete blow by blow of this situation that obviously strongly emotionally affected three real people at a time when you are also devoting a lot of ink to how annoying it was that people were trying to sell details about you in prison and take your photo and everything like that.
The optimist in me says that all of these names, Delilah, the stud, and Renee, are, just kind of call signs and not their real name.
For sure, but it's a bit rich coming from someone who is so paranoid about people selling her details. I mean, if you
Yeah.
were one of these three people, wouldn't you feel a little violated?
Been thinking about that in the book as she generally talks about these folks, especially when she speaks negatively of the inmates she doesn't like. One day they might get out, and who knows?
Yeah, that's true too.
All right, I
Not
have
a
one.
threat,
Not a threat. I
a
have
promise.
a promise. I have one final thought on the stud drama, and then I'm done. This really made me howl. Later on, one of the stud's girlfriends came up to me. The stud was a playboy, and told me that she thought the stud got her pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
I said, "And how did she do that?" She replied, "'Cause girl, she rocked my world."
She actually giggles at that in the audiobook.
That's cute.
Yeah, it was cute. The TV special really drove home just how much of a horn dog Teresa is. Because if you notice, so much of the action in this book, once she gets to prison, does have to do with sex and romance, but like really sex, all the boom boom room stuff and everything. And I mean, she has to fill a book. I don't know what else you could talk about that goes on in prison besides the sex stuff and the TV wars. But then in the special, every time she talks to Joe on the phone, so they record her voice while she's speaking with him a few times. More than once, she brings up phone sex. Joe Gorga brings up phone sex to Giudice. Gorga and Giudice are in the gym one day, and Joe Gorga says to Juicy, when Teresa calls you, do you have phone sex? About his sister.
What?
And then Giudice goes, nah, we email nasty things to each other. And then Gorga goes, do you jerk off a lot now? These are brothers-in-law. One of them, by the way, is spotting the other one while he's chest pressing. So his Gorga's dong is right in Juicy's face while he's asking him if he has phone sex with his full blood sister. And Juicy goes, listen, at the end of the day, when you shoot a load, it's the same shit anyway.
He says that in the special?
Yes, that's when Gorga says, do you jerk off a lot now that Teresa's in prison? And he goes, listen, at the end of the day, when you shoot a load, it's the same shit anyway.
Did they bleep out load?
No, but it was on Peacock. So I don't know. Maybe they de-bleeped it when they added it to Peacock. I'm not sure.
That is so disgusting.
But,
All
like,
of it.
Yeah, she brings up sex constantly.
Well, you mentioned
in the special.
I'm so sorry to cut you off, but you mentioned last episode the sexual tension between Joe Gorga and Teresa, and I think Joe Gorga egging on Teresa's husband about phone sex is just further evidence of that.
I know. It's like that would never occur to me to ask my brother-in-law about my sister who's the same sex as me. Do you know, like, let alone if I had a brother to ask his wife. Do you know what I mean?
That's all very foul. In this last quadrant, Juicy Joe and Tree have a little makeout scene during a visitation.
Yes, and they have Adriana block them with her body, and Teresa was like, "I think she really got a kick out of it." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, that was tough. And Tree mentions sending a birthday card to Juicy Joe with printouts of some fun positions.
Yes. Printout of the sex positions she wants to do.
And she mentions in that birthday card how flexible she has gotten because of yoga. Oh, excuse me, it was not for his birthday, it was for Father's Day. For Father's Day, I sent him a card with 3 pages of printouts of positions I told him I wanted to try when I got home. I told him that I'd gotten very flexible in there from doing so much yoga. I thought he would like seeing those printouts, and he did. He emailed me when he got the card, and he said he couldn't wait until I got home.
Thanks for sharing, Tree. I have another highlight that I think this is the only time she said the F word in the whole book. I ran into Motormouth. She never fucking shut up. It just was like apropos of nothing. It was just like, oh, you ran into Motormouth. Okay.
Yeah, she was fed up with Motormouth.
We also have in chapter 9 when she tweets, she tells Gia to tweet something from her account.
That caused a real controversy in the prison, and Teresa I think she almost got a shot, but didn't get one.
She didn't get the shot that time. They did search the bunks for a cell phone, and you can't really blame them. I mean, I don't know if I would have been, like, it wasn't the brightest move to, like, send the tweet out as if it was from your account. Like, just send it from Gia's account and be like, my mom says XYZ. The tweet said, "Thank you everyone for all the cards, letters, and kind words of support. I love you all. XOT." And yeah, the officer was sitting behind an old worn wooden desk and another stood on each side of him. "We want to know how you were able to tweet something." The officer said, "Do you have a phone?" "Managgia," I thought to myself, which means damn in Italian. And she says, "I don't. I had my daughter tweet that for me. I wanted to thank my fans, check my locker and my room. I don't have a phone." And then they had her lawyer, Jim, tell the media that Gia was the one who tweeted it for her. And I get like I see both sides because it's like it makes them look like someone has a phone. So of course they're gonna get pissed about it, you know?
Yeah.
But also it's like she didn't do anything wrong technically, you know?
Yeah. Malls, do you remember in this chapter, she haphazardly mentions a picture of her diary entry getting pubbed in Us Weekly.
Let me see.
But I felt like the explanation for how that happened was lacking. I know in a previous chapter, there was that woman that took a picture.
No, she published the diary. She sent an excerpt of her diary to Us Weekly, it sounds like.
Okay.
She doesn't say it outright. She, as always, acts like a passive recipient of the drama when she clearly sent the excerpt. She says, "I wish those guys were there a few days later." This is the guys at the men's prison.
Yes.
"When fireworks went off inside the prison after Us Weekly ran an excerpt of the diary I had been keeping there since the day I arrived." And she had said that an inmate hit her roommate. Again, she's putting things in Us Weekly about real things happening between real people. And then in the next breath, complaining about people trying to expose what she's doing. It's just like, Teresa, do you understand? Like, it's the same thing that you're doing is what you're complaining about being done to you. Granted, she's protecting people's identities, but it would piss you off if you were one of the people who she's writing about.
Speaking of Teresa created content while incarcerated, we have not touched upon her vision board yet, and that was one of my loudest laughs in this entire experience, of which there are many, and it's certainly laughing with, not at. This was my greatest joy from this reading.
Jen, tell me about Teresa Giudice's prison vision board.
Oh, it was magnificent. So in the book, she publishes a picture of her vision board, and I'm going to read some of, thank you, Molly. There it is. I'm going to read some of the highlights. Keep it up.
This is a list of words. This is not what Gen Pop would consider visions.
She did mention cutting out pictures from magazines. just for the readers, I'm going to read. I mean, this is an excellent vision board. And I quote, "Abs, exclamation point, skinny, exclamation point, Lord, period, leopards, period, Jesus, period, Milan Cathedral, period, best body, period." So I'm gonna read them all in quick
She said
succession.
abs twice. Abs is on 2 different pages.
Or I wanna read them all in quick succession. Abs, skinny, Lord, Jesus, leopards, Milan Cathedral, best body.
Yoga DVDs, love, parents, shoe line, black cod, rising up.
Did she say black cod?
Black card like Amex, Rolls Royce, vacation, money, money, money.
Ooh, Lord, Jesus, and leopards. That juxtaposition is
Goddesses of food, make history, 40 million. Family time, exclamation point.
ooh.
Peace, Lord, Jesus, faith, faith, faith.
So Teresa really tried to improve herself mentally, but also physically. She reveals in this part of the book, she's talked about her workout routine. She's published, I think we've seen a chapter of her journal about it. But in this chapter, she spells it out. She would work out 6 hours a day.
Oh,
And
what a dream come true.
they had a plank contest, and Tree won holding a plank for 9 minutes.
That was 9 minutes, 19 seconds. That has seared itself into my brain because that is so long to hold a plank.
Really, really long. In high school for varsity testing, we had to hold a plank, and I think I tapped out at maybe 2:45.
That's a lot.
I mean, that was a long, long, long time ago. But no, there were girls. I think there was a girl who beat Tree.
Really? I thought
Yeah.
that 919 had to be the winner.
This is 16-year-olds.
Yeah. Okay. I really enjoyed, well, enjoy isn't the right word, was troubled by, which is the same thing in reality TV, let's be honest. The section where she talks about cheating allegations around Juicy because he kept getting his picture taken with women because he feels bad saying no. Really? He's getting his picture taken with women while you're in prison because he feels bad saying no.
And one example she gives is one of the photos that was published is Joe with his arm around a woman posing for a picture at a restaurant. And she says, what you don't know is the guy that took that picture was the girl's husband. She was a fan.
Okay. One example.
Yeah, there was a lot of, this is a big Joe PR chapter.
It really is. It's actually crazy. Really, she just goes, I don't know. I wonder if she really felt that way or if she was trying to convince herself, of all of these great things she says about him in it.
All the above, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. She also says, my dad still didn't know why I went to prison. Neither do I. Really?
Yep.
There's words for what you did. They used those words when they talked to you about it.
Yep. May I read a passage about Juicy Joe?
Please.
So Tree gets in trouble during the filming of Teresa Checks In, the production company, filmed a scene of Joe and the girls calling Tree in prison, and Teresa got in trouble for the production company filming her speaking on the phone. They said it was unauthorized contact or something.
With the public, yeah, because it was being broadcast. But
Yeah.
she can't control also New Jersey is a one-party consent state. So only one person listening to a conversation needs to know it's being recorded for it to be usable in any context, So it's not really her fault, but she knew.
Molly
So-
Mulshine Esquire. So she says about this incident, Joe did the show, Teresa Checks In, because we needed the money. He was doing everything he could to save our house from foreclosure.
Why? Why would you not downsize?
But also that made me think of, he better be hustling to have the house not foreclosed because he's the
Right?
reason they're in this position that they're paying all this restitution and lawyer fees.
Yeah, exactly. And then in the special that they filmed, they still have their shore house.
Yeah.
Which is the funniest house I've ever seen in my life. Google image Teresa Joe Giudice shore house. First Google result. It looks like it's a Flintstones house in real life. It looks AI. It doesn't look like a real house. It's so funny.
Really bad at typing. Hang on.
Yeah, it's just taking a shocking amount of time.
Yeah.
The headline on page 6. Isn't it weird? Hold it in the center. So strange. Headline, no one wants Joe and Teresa Giudice's beach home.
It really does look like a Flintstones house.
Right? It doesn't say what town it was in. I think it was Tom's River. So their main house was on the market, it says, for 1.8 million at this point, which feels low. Oh, it was last sold. That only sold for 2 million in 2022.
Mm.
That gigantic
Wow.
house.
Yeah, that seems not right.
It's so dated. It's really a gut reno. It's so Olive Garden,
Yes.
Cheesecake
Yes.
Factory. We'll give it Cheesecake Factory.
Can we talk about the experience of Tree watching Teresa Checks In the prison.
This was, my goodness. It was, hold on, what is this guy's name? Let me think of it so I can sound smart. Oh, he's French. He is French and let me see, French philosopher about
What the
symbols.
hell?
His name is Baudrillard. This was Baudrillard up and down. His argument is that television does not just reflect the real world, it replaces it with a copy or simulation. And for Tree in prison, that was so true because she had not seen her daughters in the home in almost a year. And her watching them on TV from prison was literally replacing memories that she did not experience with this manufactured thing that Bravo had created for her.
Wow. And the her fellow incarcerated friends, when Tree was crying while watching the special, they reminded her how lucky she was to be able to see her family living their life while inside because they don't get to do that.
Yeah, I know. Because TV is reality, especially the reality genre of TV.
Repeat that once more.
Because TV is reality at this point, and this is the reality version of TV. So it felt to Teresa, even though she knows all the tricks of the trade of how they can zhuzh things and edit things and make things look like they happened when they really didn't, it still represented a window into her family's life, even though she knew that it was fake and zhuzhed and edited,
Mhm.
which is a testament to Bravo, really, that one of their own stars could be duped into believing every frame of a show that they have shot.
And Tree felt, adding to the sentimentality of the evening, she felt a lot of love and support from the gals while watching this. She says, I ran into a lot of Looney Tunes in Danbury, but the wonderful people I got to know so well and the little family we created meant everything to me. We held each other up and helped each other to the finish line. I saw how much they cared that night when they watched the show with me and hugged and kissed me and told me they were there for me because they knew how hard this was for me. I can't put into words the love I felt that evening.
That's really nice. I mean, again, Teresa is a religious person, but TV is actually the biggest like shrine and meeting place for her. Like it's more holy than church.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
This was like a religious sacrament for her, like having all of her friends around her to join those two sections of her life, like the prison milieu and the TV life together. That was like a really profound experience for Teresa.
You're so right. What a congregation, what an altar.
Alter, yeah. Yeah.
Pre mentions about the experience of seeing the girls on TV. We hadn't heard her say this so directly yet, I felt, but she said out of all of us, Joe and myself, me going to prison was hardest on the girls. The girls are the ones who got punished the most, not us.
Right. That's why you don't commit mortgage fraud.
I
Sorry.
thought she continued. No, that's okay. She continues on. I thought this was really interesting. She said that she told Joe that the prison was like a low level spa, and she did that strategically so he would have this rosy memory of what she's doing in there and that he wouldn't worry. And she didn't want him to inadvertently mention any of the dark details about prison to the kids. So,
She
Joe,
wanted to make them all feel better.
yes. Tree says, after the special aired, people were pissed because they thought I was living this cushy, locked up life. Let me tell you, prison was nothing like a low budget spa. It was hell.
Yeah, I believe her. And I thought that was really nice and smart of her to do that for her family. Although Joe is such a dodo that it didn't occur to him that she was just trying to keep them from worrying, you
Mm
know?
hmm. Mm hmm.
In the special, you also see just how much she organized and planned social occasions and events for her family from behind bars, and it's actually mind-blowing. She sends her stylist and makeup artist over to the house to do Gia's hair and makeup for the 8th grade dance, and she picks flowers for her and a necklace. Gia receives flowers and a necklace from Teresa behind bars for the dance. It really actually is, it's wild. And she didn't provide any insight in the book into how she managed to do that. I would have been interested to understand the logistics of that.
I assumed near the track, and she mentioned there's an out of bounds wooded area. So maybe she dispatched a more experienced inmate to maybe pick some some wildflowers.
Oh, no,
She
it was a store-bought bouquet, but she just got
Oh,
someone to go out and buy it for her.
okay, got
And
it.
even Juicy himself was, like, surprised because Juicy didn't have a friggin' driver's license, so I'm sure he didn't go get it and put it on the back of his bike. Like, I
Yeah,
guess he just got someone else to do it.
yeah.
One other really wild detail on Watch What Happens Live after around when this all was airing, Andy said he remembered Juicy asking in a group setting during the casting process, has anyone ever been indicted as a result of being on the show? Yeah, so do with that what you will.
Wow, wow, wow. Juicy nugget from the viewing party of Teresa Checks In was Teresa recounting watching Joe Gorga's scenes in the special.
Yeah, what did she say about that?
So they filmed Joe Gorga visiting Tree, and it was the first time he visited for the special.
Right. They're in a good place, the Gorgas and the Giudices at this point, so she doesn't want to insult or shade them, but she can't help herself. She never can help herself. So she is sure to mention that this was the first time he visited her was when the cameras were rolling, and the first time Melissa visited the girls was to take them to get their nails done while the cameras were rolling. So
Yeah,
she
she's
always gets her licks in even when she's pretending to be in a good place with them.
Yeah, in the Melissa nugget, she says, "I'll always be grateful that she was nice to the girls while I was inside, like taking them to get pedicures during the special."
Exactly. Also, she through much of the supplemental material that I watched over the last couple days, Melissa over and over again is like, "Yeah, I can't seem to get on the list for Teresa to visit Teresa. It took a while for me to get on the email list. Like Teresa just wants nothing to do with her." And Teresa definitely didn't want Melissa to show up in a perfect little, like, skin tight romper with her hair and makeup done in the prison. There was no way in hell Teresa was going to let that happen. Right.
Yeah, yeah, that was funny.
Also, in the season 6 reunion, Andy says to Melissa, "Oh, have you talked to Teresa much since the sentencing came down?" And Melissa's like, "Yeah, of course I called to check on her after it happened." And Teresa's like, "She texted."
Mm, mhm.
They can't help themselves. But also, just to be fair, there was also a lot of stuff Melissa said and did in the special that would have boiled my blood as a
Like what?
mother.
Like what?
She starts crying at one point, saying how hard it is on the girls, which obviously, yes, but don't cry about my kids on TV without me there. I think that would kill anyone to just watch your sworn enemy on television be like, "What kills me is the children. Just, no one else is thinking of the children, only me as I sit here crying." Like, and I am a team Melissa until the day I die, but that was I would feel violent if I saw that happen.
Yeah, not coming from a sincere place for sure.
Right, it's coming again from a twist the knife place. They both do it to each other. Both sides do it to each other nonstop.
So Tree says about Joe, "My brother and I were getting along better when I was in prison, thank God. When he sat with me in the visitation room, we really were the Joey and Tree from years ago. Any hurt or pain from the past had just disappeared. I cried when I saw him break down when he got back in the car after coming to see me for the first time. That's when I knew deep in my heart that things were going to be better between us. He wasn't acting for the cameras. This was Joey with his heart on his sleeve, reeling over seeing me locked up in there and having to leave without me. I had no idea that it would take me being in prison for us to finally break down those walls between us."
Well, it only made the walls break down because you weren't seeing each other on a regular basis to make each other crazy.
True, very true. Distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Right. And you also had another like classic scene of Gorga family emotional weirdness where on the way to the prison, Nona is like, "Now don't get upset. Don't get upset when you're leaving. You can't cry. Don't cry in front of Teresa. You'll upset her." And Gia, again, always the adult in the situation, is like, "Nona, it's hard. Like he's allowed to cry, you know?"
Man, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's wild. Joe Gorga also says in the special that I can't believe he said this and that she didn't mention it and flip out about it. He says he doesn't miss much about Teresa now, as in the version of Teresa that's in prison, which is crazy. And he says he misses the old Teresa before all the money and BS. And also, in a section of the book that I had just read, Teresa said in the book, the old Teresa would have dragged some woman down the street by her hair, which is so funny that in his version, the old Teresa was sweet and nice and not materialistic. And her version of the old Teresa is someone who would bash a woman's head in and drag her down the street by her hair. It's just so funny how much Teresa just contains multitudes, I guess. And there are just so many different sides to her that she refuses to recognize until it slips out that she does recognize it. Do you know what I mean? It's like in an earlier part of the book when she was like, the first couple seasons were all about just fun and happiness and not drama. And it's like, but that's when you flipped a table and called someone a prostitution whore, famously in the first season. I guess she looks at herself through such rose colored glasses, and no one can ever seem to agree on what her actual personality is.
She's complex. What can I say? I loved an older lady inmate said that Joey was so handsome.
And Teresa had to include that
Mm-hmm.
because she agrees.
I love looking up photos of him next to Melissa because it gives you an idea of how short he is. Because when you Google a male celebrity's height, it's not honest. But when you Google a female celebrity's height, it is honest because there's not this huge complex about I need to be 5'11" and lie. And he is level, oftentimes shorter with her. Let me look up the height.
Yeah, he really is frequently shorter than her. But I also like that, by the way. There's nothing I hate more than to see a beautiful woman having to wear flats for her male partner's ego. Margaret Qualley, God bless you for getting out of that situation where you were on the world's best red carpets with this burgeoning career out there pointy-toed flats so that Jack Antonoff can feel better? Never again, Margaret. Never again. It's such a cooler look when the woman wears the heels and is a little taller. It's a BDE look.
Exactly.
The man looks insecure when the woman has to wear ugly shoes to assuage his ego. It makes the man look like a fool. Don't you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Melissa Gorga is 5'4", and looking at photos of them together when she's
Are you serious?
looking at photos of them together, they are the same height. I'm looking at barefoot photos on the beach, the pool. I mean, he is level with her.
Why am I being so mean? It's okay for a man to be 5'4". Get your jaw off the ground.
Absolutely, but I find Joe Gorga just so I'm not a big Joe Gorga fan, and I'll
Really?
save that for another time.
No, why?
You can tell that I feel like he worships his boys and they can, like, just perpetuating the environment he grew up in. The boys run this home, whatever the boys want. They moved schools so the boys could play football. So then their daughter had a hard time, moving in the middle of high school. I just get the sense that it's, super male centered, that house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very funny to act like there's any benefit for two 5'4" boys to play football. Like, even if they're really good in their school, like, this is going nowhere else.
I don't know that his sons are 5'4", but yeah, they. My guess is they're not going to the league, as we say.
I loved the Joe and Melissa episode of Wife Swap.
I did too. I loved the Housewives wife swap. I found it very heartwarming.
It was really good, and it made me want to be a better housewife for a week at least.
What did you do? What did you do differently?
I think I made chicken parm, and you yelled at me on Instagram for not beating the chicken with a mallet first. And I said, well, that wasn't the problem. The problem was that the breadcrumbs weren't crispy enough.
Did I really yell at you for not beating the chicken?
Yeah, you're paisan. What can I expect? And then I guess I discovered something else I wanted to be obsessed with after that, and I decided to stop trying to be a good wife. But I do, because I cook dinner every night. I just have literally 3 meals on repeat that I do again and again and again. But then I was like, do you know what? Melissa probably does too. She was lying on the show.
Yeah, you're right. I'm seeing they're making an eggplant parm. They're making a sausage or a gette. They're making maybe a veal cutlet. Those are the three. Those are the three on repeat. Though I'll say this, Joe Gorga, he's frickin' stacked. He's ripped. Yes, there might be some anabolics in there, certainly judging by his skin tone, that sort of stretched redness that is a signature mark of an anabolic, but the dude's ripped.
I also have to say, kudos to him for being ripped. Most men are not. He's putting in the effort. And as a guy who's short and bald, thank you. Because every other guy who's short and bald should also be getting ripped. Like, you don't need hair transplant. You don't need to go to Turkey. Just get jacked. It's so easy for men to have good bodies. It drives me insane. All they have to do is work out and eat more. Like, I hate you. That is so unfair. It's so much harder for women to have a good body because you have to go under the knife if you want to get like better boobs and butt. If a man wants to look like a jacked meatball, all he has to do is go to.
Yeah, they're like, I stopped drinking 2 liters of Coca-Cola a day and I lost 60 pounds.
Right. And you're like, wait, and now there are still guys walking around who don't look good? Get out.
Get out. Get out.
Yeah.
Well, we've really drifted, but you could argue this discussion of the male gaze, family, patriarchal structures, really brings things back to why Tree ended up doing time.
I have a perfect bow to wrap that up with. Giudice in the special, because we've talked a lot about Teresa's perspective on her crimes and the fact that she continues to pretend she doesn't know why she went to jail. She knows. She knows what she did. She went out of her way to do it. She concocted new identities and new companies that did not exist and told the bank she worked there and faked pay stubs. She knows. And then when she had a chance to only have probation, she lied and said she didn't own any cars when she was trying to like disclose all of her assets, like Teresa. And she did that like the day before her sentencing. Like, she's a dodo bird. I think she kind of like did it all knowingly and on purpose. And she was upset that she got caught. So we know all of this about Tree. What we didn't really get was Juicy's perspective. Juicy frequently in the Bravo verse is blamed for them going to jail. And after looking a little bit more into the things that precipitated their prison time, I'm inclined to blame both of them a lot more, even though I've said on past episodes of this podcast that she was taken along for the ride. I no longer believe that after looking more into it. And also, she's the one who's finding herself in financial turmoil again, and he's not.
What's the new information you studied?
Stuff that's already out there, everything I just said. But she's the one who's got tax liens on her house again and things like that. Like, Juicy has actually, it seems like he has cleaned up his act. But so I want to say two things funny that he said in the special, because the first thing was they were talking about the fact that he might get deported. And he said, I don't want to move to Italy. I'm not from there. I don't know the laws. And it was like, well, what? That didn't stop you in America. What do you mean you don't know the laws? Like, you habitually break laws. Is it because you don't want to go there because you don't know the laws because you won't know which ones to break? Like, what do you mean you don't know the laws? But then the other thing he said, money is pretty much the reason why it happened. You know, banks were just throwing money at you sometimes. You just fill out an application and you'd get loans. You'd get loans on anything. But anyway, those days are gone. What are you going to do? So he says that. He kind of makes it like it's the bank's fault for making it so easy to commit loan fraud and mortgage fraud. And then in another section of the special, the lawyer James Leonard says, what have you learned from this? Because he's the lawyer. So he's like, listen, if we make you look contrite on TV, it will help with future crimes, of which I'm sure there will be several. So he says, what have I learned? I'm going to do things the right way. I didn't know it was the wrong way. What I know now, basically, I committed some kind of fraud with mortgages. I know now it wasn't the right thing to do. We're in this situation. Now we just got to climb out of it and never look back. So he kind of was like, you made it so easy for me to commit mortgage fraud. What was I supposed to do? And okay, fine, you got me. I'm not going to do it anymore.
That is the most direct admission of guilt we've gotten from them.
You have to you have to respect it a little bit, even though it is BS. Like, he definitely knew that was illegal.
Yeah, but he implies that he knew a little bit what was going on. The banks were throwing you money. It's like, how could I not?
Right. He's like, it was like taking candy from a baby, basically.
Yes, exactly.
So I don't know. And now he lives in the Bahamas and he runs tours. He basically said on this Albie Manzo podcast, I only listened to half of it. There weren't any bombshells in it, but he basically said that living in the Bahamas, so many people were coming down and wanting to hang out with him that he didn't have enough time to hang out with them all. So he started a tour company. So now you have to pay him to hang out in the Bahamas.
That is genius.
I know, it's really funny. He's likable. You gotta like him. That's the thing. Like, he really is funny and he's got a vibe and a way about him that is entertaining, more so than Teresa, I think. I don't know, maybe that's internalized misogyny speaking, but she also has hardened and calcified the longer she's been on the show. She doesn't really have the cute little funny moments that she used to have with the daughters, so I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lightness and buoyancy to Joe that Tree does not have.
Yes, when he used to do the splits, when he was wasted, he used to get, like, hammered on red wine and just, like, be on camera. It was so he's chaotic and he's funny. Sorry.
Good time Charlie. A good time Charlie, maybe that will be the name of Juicy Joe's memoir, but for now, Malls, I am so grateful for this experience of reading Turning the Tables with you. By far my favorite book yet that we've read, and I really recommend it to the ones and twos of people listening.
No, listen, to be clear, the podcast is doing numbers, okay? It's doing numbers. We're gonna have sponsors coming out our ass. Before you know it, we're gonna have the brand deals, we're gonna have the sponsorships, we're gonna have it all. It's just that it's taken a little dip as we've dwelt on Teresa for too long.
Babies in camera.
It's all right, she's my daughter.
Okay.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? That's the best thing Giudice says all the time, Juicy, because what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? These things happen. What happened, happened. It's in the past. The past, the past. You gotta move forward.
The past is the past. Now shove it up your ass. Ladies and gentlemen, next week we will reconvene on Friday to talk about The Pursuit of Porsha by Porsha Williams, how I grew into my power and purpose.
Alliteration, let's go.
Yeah, we learn about that in English class, and we'll see what other wonderful literary devices we see Porsha delve into next week and beyond.
Beautiful. Thank you to everyone for listening. Hope you liked our discussion of Turning the Tables.
Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts in a good way, and Spotify as well.